Hello everyone, we are back again with the second edition of GCC Summit, which is being happening in Ahmedabad, Gift City, and we have with us our past president of ICAI, Aniket Talati, with us. Thank you, sir, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And it has been a wonderful experience. We got a lot of guidance from you in this entire GCC ecospace, sir. Coming straight to the question, sir, GCC, a new buzzword or an old matter, because many chartered accountants are coming forward, and since you are the past president, saying, when we look into the entire world and when we look into the entire stakeholders and say, what do you think about a chartered accountant? They say, well, about tax, about GST, about ROC, all of a sudden they are getting a name of GCC. What do you see this as a future, and what is your reaction on this?
So first and foremost, my heartiest compliments and congratulations to you, Sanjeev bhai. And I mean it with all sincerity. I was in the council for 6 years, tried to showcase some of the opportunities that are there for our chartered accountants in the global environment, of course, through the committee that we have for promotion of export services. But sometimes you're missing that right brand, to tell the world your story about what our accountants are doing. Right? And I think for the last 25 years now, our accountants have been very successfully doing a lot of bookkeeping, tax, compliance work for various companies and various countries across the globe. But I think as in the IT field, there's been a huge revolution in our accounting space. When you look at the migration from doing low-level bookkeeping work, low-level compliance work, to now almost running the office and manning major operations such as CXO roles of CFO for so many companies and corporations that are being done here. And I think what was missing was ICI showcasing. And I say this quite often. I think as professionals, we are great at doing the work, but we are not the best in terms of showcasing our capabilities. And I think what has happened this year with this wonderful GCC Summit, with the very important slogan that you've given, from ledgers to global leadership, I think that encapsulates the entire transition that has happened for membership in general, in terms of moving from doing accounting, bookkeeping, tax compliance work to now leading and being the face of all the operations. And I think therefore we no longer do processes, but we own the P&L. And when I say that, we do all the work that hitherto was never thought of could be done offshore, right, leave alone being done by Indians not sitting in those Western countries. So I think it's a great move. It's going to showcase to the world that besides being great auditors, besides being great compliance people in direct tax, ROC that you mentioned, besides being great in forensic and so many other specialized services such as valuation and solvency that we've developed, I think this is a global niche that we are showcasing. And we at the council have always discussed that for all professionals, I think two things are important. One is aggregation, coming together, and second is having not just domestic income, but having foreign currency revenue in your own income expenditure account. And I think with this initiative, you will inspire many chartered accountants, Sanjeev bhai, to come together and aspire that in 5 years from now, half of their income should come from foreign shores.
So, sir, a lot of cues I'm getting from what you have just said regarding the engagement, regarding the global leaderships, connecting with the world and having that entrepreneurship quality. Two, three things now getting very, very closer since you are the past president of ICI. I think MDP is going to play a very, very important role. How do you strategically think in the world of collaboration? I was just listening to one of the speaker who was saying that, we talk about global capability centers. Let's talk about global capability centers and collaboration, or maybe global capability collaboration. How do you think institutes should step forward, or how should we take this forward so that we all work together in tandem? Because once we talk about, as you rightly said about CXOs, and all different functional which is going to come up, we need experts, we need specialists. So how are we going to take this situation forward as per your vision?
Brilliant. I think 2 points. One is with regards to collaboration. I remember when I was the president of the institute and I got the opportunity to address the Africa Congress of Accountants. And there from the stage, I said, and it was impromptu when I was just mentioning, looking at so many accounting bodies, there were maybe 20 different accounting bodies, the accounting body, the institute from Kenya, from Namibia, from Tanzania, from South Africa, and I didn't want to overwhelm them. When sometimes when you go on stage and say we are the largest accounting body, you don't want to make other people feel small, right?
Right.
So I at that point coined a term which I think in today's time is even more relevant, and I said, don't compare, don't compete,
Okay.
collaborate.
Wow.
So the C, which is important for us, is to collaborate, and I think that's what you're talking about, collaboration. When you do that with other professions, you're not competing with them, you're not comparing, but saying, look, you are an MBA, I'm a chartered accountant, you are an IT guy. Can we all come together and give a service to the international network of businesses, of accounting firms, of everybody else who wants this expertise, who wants technology, who wants accounting and other aspects of financial world and FP&A, and can we bring all of that together? I think Institute has steadily, since the past 3 years, moved in this direction. I personally feel the World Congress of Accountants was, I think, a huge momentum shift, where for the first times we asked our firms to say, come, showcase yourself, exhibit, and show to the world that we have the capability of doing work for the world. And I think ever since then, every year, each year the council has tried to step up in terms of giving that opportunity. And I think with you bringing this GCC up front, I think this is going to push the hand of council even further to say that yes, MDP is something that we need. If we want firms to grow, if we want firms to develop in terms of providing multi-services and not just bookkeeping and accounting, but also IT technology, right? You need to collaborate with other professionals, and I'm sure with the ministry looking at this, with the Prime Minister's office so solidly behind the concept of building large Indian firms, I think the future is collaboration.
So one thing, when we look into the entire world of accountants, we see and we are projecting that India is going to be the accountant for the entire world. It's going to be the financial hub for the entire world. Looking into the trend where we see that accountants worldwide are aging, and nobody is getting into that traditional compliance with the technology being a challenge, AI coming in, dashboards, real-time connected systems, and then there are 60, 70 years old chartered account, certified public accountants, and many other accountants across the world looking for us to get their work done. There is two big challenges. In fact, three challenges. The trust, credibility and trust of, it's not about we don't possess that, but it's a distance. How can we get that bridged? The second important thing is that, I'm just taking few questions together is, if we are looking to buy those out, what are the options available, or what is there any possibility of buying out those firms across the world? And the last but not the least is how we can, really transition this entire thing, with that mindset, with the current skills and with the current tools. So I think that's some of the.
I think it's a brilliant question, and I think I'll take each of them separately. The first was on trust, and I've seen this. I went to the US first time, I believe, in 2008, and of course other jurisdictions also that I've worked. And I think the needle has moved, Sanjeev bhai, to a large extent from when you and me probably started out doing this. And now, in terms of the trust the clients would have in our capability to deliver, I think to a large extent, thanks to everybody in India who's doing this work, that has been established. That yes, if you ship work to India, you will get a good quality output. So trust in that sense has been established. But the trust in our field is also in terms of how sensitive you are to data protection. Right. Today in India, for example, we take data very lightly, and somebody asks us, "The detail mil jayega," and we just send it over WhatsApp. And if it's personal information, globally it can cause you tremendous amount of pain if you are not careful. So I think we need to, as a profession, whoever wants to get in this field, understand that you're dealing with very sensitive, important information. And I think therefore, what I try and do, and I think what the institute has also been doing, is maintain the fact that at chartered accountants and members of ICAI, we follow the international ethical standards. We are ISBA compliant, and our code of ethics is in line with the international standards.
Wow.
And therefore, yes, we follow the highest level of ethics that has to be judged for any professional anywhere, and we are benchmarked to it. And if I cross that line, my institute, which is here, is going to be there to punish me. So I think that's one very important aspect that has to go out there as a message. I think second, in terms of the opportunity for acquisitions, I think today you are very right. The average age across of accountants um, in the Western world is increasing. The younger generation, as you very rightly pointed out, doesn't want to do accounting, and because they have other opportunities, they have other priorities.
And they are in fact not opting for accounting as a course.
In fact, Sanjeev bhai, in most conferences that you go internationally, half of the time is spent how do you make the profession attractive?
Right.
How do you attract talent?
Right.
We are blessed. We have what 500,000 members and a million students knocking on the door. So I think this advantage, the demographic dividend, which the Prime Minister so often talks about, is available to us. We have to use it to the right extent. But yes, with this pool coming in and aging firms, today there are, it's a natural fit. You absolutely, I think, described it in the best possible manner. It is again the magic word of collaborating with these firms.
Yes.
And there are opportunities today where a lot of the firms in the Western world, unlike in India, where we feel, oh, succession planning, what happens to my firm after this? These are not areas that you often talk about. But I think we have to transition, because the West very clearly has, from build to last to build to sell. And many of these enterprises are today built to sell, because they are clear that they will not last multi-generations.
Right.
And therefore, accounting firms are also available globally for acquisition. I think with the changes that the institute is doing in terms of corporatizing practice, in terms of multidisciplinary, in terms of easing the code of ethics, I'm sure a lot of opportunities will open up. And I would love to see a day that an Indian firm registered with ICAI, bearing an FRN,
Wow.
is able to have cross-border M&A and acquire firms globally. I think, and I would request through you that the council also, if NCLTs today are approving cross-border M&As for companies, I think we have always been one step ahead of companies,
Yes.
right? And as professionals, let's lead the way, let's show the way, and allow the opportunity at some time that Indian firms can acquire global firms. So yeah, I think that definitely is in the realm of possibilities as I can see them.
And the talent part, the last part.
So on the talent part, I think
Skills and talent.
the skills that we need today as chartered accountants again are, I think we are very good technically. You've learned Ind-AS, so if you have to prepare IFRS financials or a US GAAP, I think it's a very easy transition. What is again going to be difficult, and I think what we have to work on to the younger members who want to get into this field, is you have to learn again the 3 C's that I refer to: communicate, code, context. So when you say communicate, you cannot just live out of Excel sheets. You need to communicate better, not just visual communication or oral communication, but when you communicate, it cannot be just, oh, these are my findings and I'm sending you an Excel, an Excel. How do you present it?
Visualization.
How do you visualize it? Exactly, dashboards and all of that we talk about. So how do you better communicate and deliver real-time dashboards? Absolutely, to clients, so that they can visualize what's happening. So communicate, and to communicate through dashboards, for example, you need code. You need to understand IT. I'm not saying sit there and learn Java and C or
Be an architect.
but understand what APIs are, understand how data flows, and then how do you make those dashboards for your client. So communicate, code, and of course, most importantly, context. Sometimes when we go in meetings, people will just talk about their technical knowledge without understanding the context of why and how you should.
What is that? What a client is looking for.
So you have to speak the language that they want to hear.
So there is a gap between what you are offering and what the client is expecting.
And that's what most of the time I see people who want to build their own practices, maybe in the outsourcing field, or even aspire to have a large GCC. I think they're not able to bridge that context gap, because you are hard pressed on selling, I know this, take it. Let's understand what the client wants. What is his pain point? Right. So move from being a problem finder to a solution provider, to telling him that you don't have to come to me for all your problems, but I can give you a simple dashboard where you can track every process within this. So I think if you do that, that will be a great opportunity.
So just coming out of this profession and the community, going back into the GCC space, which Institute is working upon, and thanks to the leadership for giving me the opportunity and to the entire leaders. who is working on this GCC ecosystem. What other, we are conducting events to, create those tractions. We are working with the ministries. What is your suggestion and guidance, going forward in this GCC ecosystem? Institutes should work more upon to make this, a right message, not just for our profession, for the country, for the society, but also for the ministries and the government, that we are not just partners in nation building, we are partners in global building.
A fantastic point. I think I'm so glad you asked this, and kudos to you that just 6 months or 7 months after this council has started. Look, people may say, why are we doing these summits, and is there more to this? I think what you've done, Sanjeev bhai, is extremely thoughtful. You first need to make noise, because without making noise, nobody listens to you. So you've created the right noise in terms of telling the world that, look, the ICAI and accountants are also in this space. This is not just for the IT world. And if you want to outsource your IT, it's been happening for so many years, you will not call it a GCC. You will have the CXO function sitting there.
Correct.
And so many CXOs come from our profession. So you've very clearly showed the world that if you want good GCCs, you need accounting talent along with tech talent.
Correct.
The split may be 70% IT, 30% FP&A, so be it. But before this wheel, or without this wheel, that car isn't moving along. Correct. And I think what has happened through these summits is you have established the fact that ICAI and CS have arrived. So yes, compliments to the leadership, as you rightly mentioned, for giving you this role, and to you for having created the right kind of ecosystem awareness that ICAI is in this space. I think moving forward, what you could do on this, and I'm sure it's in your trajectory of thoughts, is going to be a showcase that when we are partners in nation building, how can I work with states that don't have a GCC policy?
Model GCC policy.
Bring out a model GCC policy and tell them, look, Gujarat has one. We are here in Gujarat. It has one of the finest GCC policies. Many other states are building, only some have actually come up with that. So maybe you can work with the states and showcase to them, look, this could be a model GCC policy. Involve all the GCCs, so say 1600, 1800, 2000 of them, and say, what is it that you're looking for? And what would make you push to come to India? Look, we have to accept one fact. When you want to build a GCC for a Fortune 500 or 5,000 company, it is not that India is the only option.
Right.
They have other options too. I mean, there's Poland, there is Philippines, there are so many countries that are there in this space. But if you want your state and we want our country to be number one, then what is it that would make them select India than others? I think talent, infrastructure, cost, these are all one aspect. But these policies will also, generate huge amount of employment.
Functioning, regulations and all of that.
Exactly. So try and work with the state on that. And maybe what you could do, one, through these events, two, through these model GCC policies, and third, through publications, is showcase the entire process of how these GCCs are getting built.
Okay.
And I think that if you are able to institutionalize with a few publications, in terms of people coming out and telling their stories, how they did this.
Success stories.
I think, look at what we did in tax. Like, people today talk about judgments of courts, and there are so many participants who come in here saying, oh, this is how you argued, this is the point of law, this is the point of fact that you differentiated. You go to IBC and you'll see so many RPs coming and saying, this is how I successfully resolved a company. You go to valuation, people will say, these are the challenges in real world when you do a valuation. So maybe tell those stories of real GCCs, of what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, and try and cover the 360-degree ambit of GCC. And I think if you are able to do that, and let me say this again, at the cost of repetition, it's been a great start. Somebody was telling me from my office that if they Google GCC, one of the first names which comes up is of ICAI, and I think that itself in 6 months is commendable for you to achieve. So best wishes.
Just to let you know that we have around 12 ministries joined hand with us, as ecosystem partners in this entire process, in this entire journey.
Oh, that's wonderful.
All the government ministries are working together with us to make sure that we work together, collaborate together for the future of the profession, the future of the country. So thank you so much, Aniket sir, for being with us. We always get admired inspired by you, and with your vision, we're definitely with your guidance. And I think this GCC Summit in Ahmedabad is definitely a lot of ideas, thoughts, and leadership has been coming through you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Such a pleasure. Thank you.